Without presenting evidence, President Trump claims the active ingredient in Tylenol is responsible for causing autism. And Jimmy Kimmel Live returns tonight, but not every ABC affiliate will carry the late-night show. Good morning. I'm Corva Coleman from NPR News, and here are today's top stories. The Trump administration is telling pregnant women not to use acetaminophen, the active ingredient in Tylenol, to avoid having children with autism.
You'll be uncomfortable. It won't be as easy, maybe. But don't take it. If you're pregnant, don't take Tylenol.
Medical groups say there's no clear evidence showing a causal link. NPR's Nell Greenfield-Boyce reports the National Institutes of Health just awarded more than $50 million in research grants to explore the roots of autism.
NIH Director Jay Bhattacharya said the 13 new grants will help scientists consider the effect of environmental and medical factors, everything from nutrition to pollutants. He said past NIH research on autism has not given families the answers they wanted. The NIH did, however, fund one very large study looking at acetaminophen use in pregnancy and the risk of autism. It analyzed data from more than 2 million children in Sweden and found no connection. Nell Greenfield-Boyce, NPR News.
Nearly a week after ABC pulled Jimmy Kimmel Live off the air, the late-night show will be back on tonight. But as NPR's Mandalay Del Barco reports, not all ABC viewers will be able to watch the broadcast show.
The Walt Disney Company, which owns ABC, says it originally suspended Jimmy Kimmel for what they said were his ill-timed and thus insensitive remarks after the murder of conservative activist Charlie Kirk. On his show last week, Kimmel made fun of Trump's reaction to the killing and accused MAGA of using it to score political points. Disney says after days of thoughtful conversations with Kimmel, the show would return. Free speech advocates cheered the news. So did fellow late-night host Stephen Colbert during his monologue last night.
Come on!
Even so, the Sinclair Broadcasting Group, which operates ABC affiliates in 30 markets, says it will still not carry Jimmy Kimmel Live. Mandalit Del Barco, NPR News.
The White House has strongly denied an MSNBC report that border czar Tom Homan was recorded a year ago accepting a bag with $50,000 in cash. The report said this was part of an undercover FBI operation later shut down by Trump administration officials. NPR has not confirmed this reporting. White House spokeswoman Caroline Leavitt dismissed the report.
Mr. Homan never took the $50,000 that you're referring to, so you should get your facts straight, number one. Number two, this was another example of the weaponization of the Biden Department of Justice against one of President Trump's strongest and most vocal supporters in the midst of a presidential campaign.
MSNBC reports Democrats on the Senate Judiciary Committee say they plan to look into the matter. The U.S. Supreme Court has issued an emergency order. It allows President Trump to fire the last remaining Democratic member of the Federal Trade Commission. NPR's Nina Totenberg reports.
The court's action is technically temporary, since the justices will hear arguments in the case in December. But by allowing the firing of Rebecca Slaughter from the Federal Trade Commission, the court seems all but certain to overturn a nearly century-old precedent that barred presidents from firing members of bipartisan regulatory agencies, except for bad conduct. Dissenting for the court's three liberals, Justice Elena Kagan noted that Congress enacted the bipartisan agency framework. She said the emergency docket should not be used, as it was here, to transfer government authority from Congress to the president and thus to reshape the nation's separation of powers. Nina Totenberg, NPR News, Washington.
President Trump says he's canceling a meeting this week with top congressional Democrats. Writing online last hour, Trump says it wouldn't be productive. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer and House Democratic Leader Hakeem Jeffries said this morning they had agreed to meet this week. They're trying to reach an agreement on a federal government spending plan. If Congress does not pass a spending agreement, the federal government will shut down next week. Democrats have been demanding that Republicans rescind enormous cuts in federal health care programs before they'll support a spending plan. Today, Trump called these demands unserious and ridiculous. President Trump is in New York today. He'll address world leaders at the UN General Assembly this morning. NPR's Franco Ordonez reports Trump is expected to speak out against Western allies who have recognized a Palestinian state or plan to do so.
Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt says President Trump will deliver a speech touting the administration's accomplishments while criticizing the work of international organizations like the United Nations.
The president will also touch upon how globalist institutions have significantly decayed the world order, and he will articulate his straightforward and constructive vision for the world.
She says the president will also be meeting together with the leaders of Qatar and Saudi Arabia, as well as have one-on-one meetings with the leaders of Ukraine and the European Union. The visit comes as the president has become more isolated in the UN, where there is a growing push to recognize a Palestinian state. Franco Ordonez, NPR News, the White House.
A new U.S.-based joint venture is proposing to take control of the video-sharing app TikTok under a deal being negotiated with China. The venture would be able to retrain TikTok's content algorithm using U.S. data. The White House says the algorithm was a tough point of negotiation that needed to meet requirements of U.S. and Chinese law. TikTok faced a ban in the U.S. over security concerns. President Trump has repeatedly paused the ban since taking office. Danish police are investigating who flew 2 or 3 very large drones over Copenhagen airport last night for hours. These were so large they could not be shot down. Police said there were too many nearby passengers. Danish officials say it's a serious attack on critical infrastructure. This is NPR.